Hello, and thanks for joining me tonight. This evening's topic is time for a sleep divorce. No need to wake up any lawyers on this one. This is something I know a little bit about. After 46 years of adult single living, I married my dear wife Lolita 8 years ago at the age of 71. One of the major adjustments was learning to sleep together. Fortunately, we have avoided the D word, sleeping and otherwise. After a couple different beds and mattresses, we found a comfortable sleeping arrangement. Although we both stake out the far shores of the king-size bed while ensuring maximum darkness between us. There will be an occasional nudge when snoring gets a little loud or when torturous sounds from a bad dream erupt. But generally, a good arrangement. No imminent need for a sleep divorce here. There is something ominous in the term sleep divorce. It sounds like a very unpleasant separation from the assumed comfy and cozy and sometimes intimate connection couples look forward to in a marriage. It almost echoes the word failure. What are you sacrificing in a sleep divorce? The internet advice and discussion websites are quite positive. Only a couple downsides are mentioned in the pro and con reviews of sleep divorce. One is expense. A sleep divorcing couple will usually need to have 2 bedrooms and beds. Sometimes 2 beds in the same bedroom will be acceptable. Unless you already have a guest bedroom, it'll require purchasing new furniture and bedding supplies if a room is available. It even may require giving up an office or a hobby room for an extra bedroom. The other drawback often mentioned is the danger of growing apart, emotionally and sexually. Once the movement to separate rooms at night occurs, the distance becomes not only literal but figural, and the relationship quality can suffer. The advocates for sleep divorce minimize these risks and have many suggestions for overcoming them, but does that turn a negative into a positive? Let's move from the theoretical to reality in your life. If you have a sleeping partner, how's it going? Ever escape to a separate room for a good night's sleep? If it seems to be very frequently, maybe it's time to explore that detrimental sounding arrangement known as sleep divorce. Let's talk to some sleep specialists and learn more about it. Maybe it's not such a bad idea. Hello, Dr. Brittany Blair, psychologist and sleep specialist. Can you tell me what a sleep divorce is and help me decide if I need one? I'll summarize her Q&A from the website Goop, G-O-O-P, and include the full article in the links below. I learned from Dr. Blair that a sleep divorce is simply a decision made by the couple to sleep in separate locations. It doesn't need to be a bitter, explosive, and negative process in the commonly used form of divorce, as in dissolution of a relationship or marriage. Dr. Blair maintains that sleeping with another person is always going to result in less sleep quality for one or both persons. Twisting, turning, getting up to go to the bathroom, making strange sounds, whatever, will always interfere with your partner's sleep. You can't simply erase the impact. We each have different sleep sensitivities and preferences, and some of us will be more disturbed and less disturbed than the other person. Maybe you are one who is going to be upset with your partner's sleeping style. Maybe you both are frustrated with sleep disturbances and just plain avoid talking about it. Dr. Blair, in her practice, avoids making a specific recommendation to a couple regarding a sleep divorce, but helps them evaluate the dynamics and characteristics of their sleeping patterns so they can make the best choice. One of the first things she recommends is to properly diagnose and treat any sleep disorders that may be preventing satisfactory sleep with either partner. She helps couples sort out the sleep problem issues, from intimacy needs and how to accommodate both of them in a new sleeping plan. It's obvious from her responses to commonly asked questions that she would not formulate a list of do's and don'ts for every couple to follow. She tends to focus on the positive outcomes of a sleep divorce. Let's see what another advisor might recommend. I found some helpful comments and advice on the marriage.com website. A sleep divorce may not always require separate rooms. Sometimes all that's needed are two beds. Of course, then you need to consider the room size and the comfort of each person in a likely smaller bed. You can even purchase two separate mattresses in the same bed frame side by side to eliminate movement disturbances from your partner. If one person is a loud snorer, obviously that arrangement's not going to work. According to a survey, 1 in 4 couples would prefer to sleep in a separate bed. The survey also indicated that some couples actually get a real divorce due to sleep incompatibility, not just a sleep divorce. It can be a very serious problem and affect a person's emotional well-being in the relationship, not just sleep quantity or quality. What are some signs that you may be heading for a sleep divorce and maybe will benefit from one? Your sleeping schedules are different. One of you has a serious snoring problem. Could be different preferences in the sleeping environment, such as room temperature or the bedding quality or amount. One of the purposes of the flexible Ager Plus Learns Decade Challenge framework is to encourage you to do your own research into issues of interest. The topic of sleep divorce is a good example with plenty of internet resources available. There are no definitive answers for whether you or your partner should consider a sleep divorce. It requires learning and deliberation and joint planning. Approach the issue with an open mind and hopefully discuss it calmly and rationally. Professional help is always available to you if you reach an impasse and your situation deteriorates. Don't let it move you towards an actual divorce. Due to my father's serious snoring problem, My parents slept separately for most of their 60-year marriage. It's been a long aristocratic and royal family tradition in the UK. Only recently have the celebrities such as Cameron Diaz contributed to what seems to be a growing trend in the US and around the world, especially in India. There is one aspect of this issue that I wish could be changed, and that is the terminology. As a positive psychology advocate, I'm very sensitive to language and how it affects our emotional reactions. The term sleep divorce is catchy, but also loaded with baggage from other associations with divorce and marriage failure and dissolution. Why not use a more optimistic sounding label, or at least one more neutral, like sleep separation or sleeping solo, or just sleep enhancement? They won't generate media headlines, but might dampen some anxiety when you bring the topic up with your partner. Humpty here, wishing you a good night's sleep and sweet dreams. As you ponder your current sleeping arrangement and how it might be improved, may you wake up refreshed with a positive plan for sharing with your loved one. See you in the morning.